and let us all do we can to build a better future. Daniel, you got a story for the people. Yeah. What is going on?
Okay, speaking of rich people in media, we're going to talk about rich people that are on media. We have a very interesting 2 videos from our good friend Case Study QB. We put so many videos on. I think we have to put them on the payroll at some point, but not today. Let's start with that first video.
This is the worst idea I have ever heard at this time. This is a crazy idea right now.
Wait, pause it for 1 second.
But give us...
So if you haven't picked up, the crazy idea he's talking about is increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Let's continue.
What would it do? What would you do with the businesses that you're running that you have employees? Would you not hire people that you were going to hire? Would you?
I appreciate that they're very inclusive on the channel, but why do they have a vampire? Who is that guy? Anyway, keep going.
Fire people that are currently employed based on the business not making sense with wage prices that high?
First of all, Joe, let's all admit and agree that small business are on their knees right now. We have never gone through a period since March 7th like this, ever. And to go tell us that we should brace for a 20% increase in our costs at a time when purchase behaviors have changed.
So I'm just going to call these out as I see them. First of which, he doesn't represent all small businesses. He's a Daddy Warbucks type. It's sort of like one of those things that is weird to do. That's like me going, hey guys, let me tell you the ins and outs of buying the right yacht for your ocean excursion.
Whatever. Again, this guy's too smug, but let's hear his reasoning about why we can't have more money.
And Brett, the other one more thing. The other thing, he's like, it's a 20% cost increase. You don't know that. That's a super variable number. If it's a business where people make a lot more than $15 an hour, it's actually a cost decrease. And it's just a stupid statement that, like, if you think about it, there's no way you could say 20% because there's so many variables. He's maybe talking about himself and the money oh no, I can't buy my lake excursion yacht. I only have enough money for the ocean excursion yacht. What shall I ever do?
Mm-hmm. All right, let's play the rest of it.
Changed all across America, and we're trying to figure it out, is just insane. And so, yes, we would start to look at cutting employees, not hiring new people. This is not the time for this idea. It makes no sense. It doesn't take into account the different regional cost of living. And on top of that, we're pouring maybe another PPP program.
I want to remind everyone, he is now saying that it doesn't take account of local cost of living, at the same time bringing up a non-adjusted 20% cost increase. Can't have both. You have one, not both.
On the top, and then taking it away from them the minute they get it. I mean, that is beyond insane. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. This is not a good idea.
Every guy. I really have to make sure this guy doesn't spread fake news. Trying to stop it. Actually, can we roll back that video for 10 seconds? I got too excited.
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome.
Okay. So he's saying that this is an unprecedented time, and it's unprecedented and really never done that we forced a minimum wage hike. Yet, it is also an insanity because he's literally using the Far Cry definition for insanity, which is trying the same thing over and over again, which is interesting because, as he's already described, this is unprecedented. So you can't have both unprecedented and super repeatable and failing. So again, pick one.
This is not a good idea. Let me suggest another. It's not fair to criticize policy unless you have an alternative that may be better. And maybe I can get my esteemed colleague here to agree with me and support this idea. For the next 24 months, just the next 24 months, any business under $100 million in sales, or one that wants to be started by an entrepreneur, pays no federal tax and is not bound by any minimum wage. Do that for 24 months. And
that's called that. Well, I'm going to give you a potential outcome of the formula you've just laid out. That's called slavery. I don't have to pay taxes on workers who I don't have to pay, but also he's saying that let's give them an exempt from $15 an hour. So is he saying that we give a $15 an hour thing and then just do away with it and not charge taxes? Again, pick one.
Watch what happens. And in addition, cancel the PPP. I've seen what happened since the last March and April PPP. 50% of that money was completely wasted. And if Congress ever decides to shut...
God damn, okay. He's now said on one hand that businesses are getting PPP and the minimum wage would take away, minimum to 15 would take away PPP. And now he's saying on the other hand that we shouldn't do PPP at all because it's only big businesses that are taking advantage of it. So again, pick one.
Shine the light on those loans, it's going to be really ugly.
Let me get to Novogratz. So, Mike, your idea is to pay employees in Bitcoin and have that quadruple, and then they're making like $30 an hour. Is that how you? That's what
I'd say a couple things to start. I think we should focus on a living wage versus a minimum wage because living in Alabama and living in New York City are very different. Different economies. So that would.
So again, I'm going to point out again, this is the other thing that we will see that happens. We say minimum wage, $15 an hour nationwide. And originally the argument was that's stupid. No one wants that. And then it turns out a lot of people really want it. And a lot of people would really like that. And now what's the new argument that we hear now as the counter? It's like they have this like room of people that are like, but this is what you respond with when this topic comes up. And so when so now what they're saying is, hey, we have to differentiate the amount of money that our living wage is. By the way, stealing the living wage term and saying, well, what depends on, I live in Alabama, it's different from New York, we should have, but none of them are actually then coming forward with the next step of, hey, here's a breakdown that I have all across the country. Here's the different places. Here's what the different wages should be. And by the way, you can't really do that. And they know that because it's a federal wage and you can't have a federal wage that specifically splits based on those conditions. That's not going to be abused anyway. So what they're asking for is a counter that they say that they want to bring that doesn't actually exist because they're never actually talking about what that would look like. They're just saying it should be done as a thing that's different from what's being talked about. So when there's an affirmative call for $15 minimum wage, their response is, no, my counter argument is not really an argument. It's a thing that I'm saying that I'm not actually doing. By the way, these guys are wealthy. If they wanted to, they could literally have, and I have a booklet or a website or someone's skin I sewed this into, that here's where the wages should be across America, and here's how they should be broken down. Notice that whenever someone says, hey, it should be a living wage based on area of location, they never say what that is.
All right. I think we got another video to play following up with that. Let's play
I'm very
that.
upset at these guys.
Well, don't worry, Dan. Hey, listen, you're hitting all the points, and I'm staying quiet because I have a very interesting paragraph that I'd like to read.
Yes.
So, Daniel, please take it away.
Yeah.
Play that video.
I'm going to keep
My second thought is, listen, the bulk of people making less than the minimum wage don't work for small mom and pop businesses. They work for the big box retail stores. 85% of people that work at big box retail make less than the living wage in the county they live in. That's crazy. That's the Home Depots of the world. That's the Lowe's of the world. It used to be Walmart until it got so much pressure. It's quick service restaurants, and so these are big chains where people are making lots of money. It's unethical for someone to work a 40-hour week and make, $8 an hour. It just doesn't add up, especially.
But they're mostly going up, Mike. A lot of those,
correct.
Target, Walmart, all those places, without any government intervention or marketplace finagling, they've all gone up to. They're paying $15 already, and that's organic. And everybody's
they've got
in a strong economy.
The guy's about to say the same thing I'm at, but I kind of want to say it instead of him. That's a lie. That's an outright lie. And I'm going to call it a lie and not a mistake because if you're on a finance channel and you don't understand and will remember why Walmart or Amazon or Disney have increased their minimum wage and you say they did it organically, that's fake news. That is absolutely, you don't get the benefit of I don't know, I didn't understand how these things that I'm talking about happened. Because you're acting as an expert on the topic. And so if you have such certainty, there's a lot of viewers that don't know this stuff. We know it. We know where this is. And the guy that actually maybe our somewhat like ally-ish vampire friend.
Ally-ish, who knows?
I will call it whatever it is going to make this point as well.
economy, you're trying to get a bunch of workers, and they can demand that to pay.
But Joe, I think in a lot of reasons, Amazon moved its wages, Walmart moved its wages because of political pressure, because of social and political pressure, because of AOC screaming at them and say, how can you not pay any tax and pay your workers so little?
Say his name.
How can the government be subsidizing your employees with food stamps, right? It was like $3 billion of food stamps the government pays into Walmart employees who then spend them at Walmart. That just doesn't make sense when Walmart's one of the most profitable companies in the world. It just doesn't.
Kevin?
The market is an amazing thing. The American entrepreneur is a force of nature. And by putting any kind of constraint on their decisions, in terms of battling back from basically an economy that was shut down on them for no fault of their own, is a huge mistake. My whole point is, it's not the time. Now's not the time.
This guy, again, fake news. The guy on top is literally saying, hey, most of the workers making the least are employed by giant corporations. And the guy gave, let's just even go with the other number the guy gave earlier, which is $100 million or less. These guys make way more than that. This guy is saying that, hey, these are where most people that don't get paid a lot go to work. By the way, the statistic I always remember was that a Walmart worker on average, and this is before they had the pressure, so the number's a little different now. A Walmart worker on average makes 18, regular floor person, not a manager or anything, an associate, because we're all associates now, makes, I think it's $18,000 a year. And then has to go to the government and get food stamps and Medicaid. And they make, on average, for their position, about $82,000 a year in revenue for Walmart. So you're paying them a quarter of what they're bringing in.
Yep.
And his point again is, hey, these are those profitable places. They should have the ability to do it. And what is this guy immediately countering with? He's ignoring the entire argument and substituting his own. And his own argument is, yes, but what about the small businesses that no one's talking about them? And I just gaslight onto the stage as if he cares about them at all, when small businesses generally pay better.
Again, let's play the rest of it while we still have some time in it, because I got a very interesting paragraph to read. Might just
work for 50% of our economy for a long time.
It'll boil your blood.
And the medicine that, the central bank governors and the treasury chiefs.
Well, hold on. 50% of the jobs in America come from small businesses. Half the economy is driven by the ones that you just poo-pooed and said, no, it's all about Walmart. No, it isn't. It's all about my businesses that hire 28 people, that start and grind it out there.
Yeah, definitely. It's exactly what he was talking about. I love how he just gaslights. It's like, again, people are like, all the people in the news are just like, I don't get it. Why don't people trust us? Segments like this might help you answer that.
Well, there's a lot of things, because I would like to have the final note on this.
Go for
Daniel,
it, yes.
You did a fantastic job tearing apart these videos, and that's why I'm glad to have you as a co-host. And I think we do need to have an increase of the wages. We also need a continuous stimulus checks. We're still waiting for our $2,000 stimulus checks. Turns out maybe by the end of March or maybe by the end of April, we might be getting them. I mean, but it'll be $1,400 and not $2,000. Now, also, look, we should have an increase in wages. The rest of the world has figured it out. We should have social safety nets. But I apologize. I owe you an apology and all of you an apology. I found this interesting article that I should have added to the show notes for your story, but I will have the final word on it.
Okay.
It's from NBC News. The Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office determined in a 2019 report that raising the hourly minimum wage incrementally to $15 by 2025 could save, at the median, 1.3 million jobs from the labor force, but would also lift 1.3 million people out of poverty and contribute an additional $8 billion to aggregate household income of these families. Given the systematic disruption of the jobs market wrought by the pandemic, implementing policies that curb the job growth might seem risky, but the particular distortion created by the pandemic could actually mitigate the negative impact some suggest. So that means by 2025, we'll have the $15 minute. So we still got to wait, folks.
And again,
you're still waiting. You're still waiting. You're still waiting.
And even then, when people were first calling, when Obama was president, for $15 minimum wage, inflation is a thing that exists. $15 is not what it was. $15 is not what it was once worth.